You accomplish things, you improve, you grow. But that feeling of satisfaction, it just never quite lands, does it? There's a reason for that.
Think about it. The moment you finally reach a goal, your mind just moves the line. It's not a big, dramatic shift. It's not even conscious most of the time. It's just enough that satisfaction never really arrives.
And underneath all of that, there's a quiet, constant feeling. You don't feel like you're enough. And if you're honest, you probably don't even remember when that started.
This whole paradox, this experience, we can give it a name. Let's call it the moving line.
And we need to be really clear about what this is. This isn't ambition, it's not discipline, it's actually a form of self-sabotage, just disguised as high standards.
And here's the central conflict, right? The very same voice that pushed you, that maybe even helped you survive, that's now the voice that's preventing you from actually feeling alive. What once kept you striving now just keeps you feeling incomplete.
So where did this voice even come from? Well, it's something that's learned. Not taught, but learned.
This belief that you aren't enough is rarely said out loud. It's something you pick up from the atmosphere around you.
It's learned in an environment where you were praised, but only when you were being useful. Where affection, well, it came with conditions. It's learned when love seems to follow a good performance, and you realize early on that approval always has terms.
And after a while, that external pressure, it becomes an internal law. It becomes an internal taskmaster. And this isn't just an inner critic, it's a mechanism that doesn't celebrate progress. Its only job is to scan for what's missing.
Living this way has a very specific cost, and it's usually a very quiet one. Because here's the secret. The goal was never actually success, was it? The goal was relief. Relief from the tension, the fear, that sense of always being on probation. But achievement never actually provides that relief.
This creates a very particular kind of exhaustion. It's not the same as burnout. Burnout is fatigue from doing too much. This is different. This is the fatigue that comes from never, ever arriving.
And so the self-sabotage shows up in these quiet little ways. You might delay finishing things, you undervalue your own work, you might dismiss praise immediately, or you raise your standards the very moment they're met. So, what's the way through this? It's probably not what you'd expect. Let's just call it the path of recognition.
Standard self-help. Be better, do more, optimize. That stuff often just reinforces the problem. Trying harder actually makes it worse, because it just doubles down on the idea that you're only worthy when you're in motion.
The turning point starts with a different kind of question. You stop asking, how do I fix myself? And you start asking something more like, when did I learn that rest was dangerous?
So, here's the crucial point. This journey doesn't begin with fixing yourself. It begins with simply recognizing the pattern, seeing the voice, naming it, and finally stopping yourself from mistaking it for the truth.
Carl Jung once wrote that the most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. And that makes sense, right? Because if you've survived by striving, acceptance means the struggle is over. And that silence, that can feel dangerous.
So the path forward is made of these small, quiet actions. Allowing yourself to rest without needing to justify it. Letting praise actually land without immediately deflecting it. Ending your days without a self-interrogation. And measuring your worth from the inside, not by constantly comparing it to others.
Because the moment you stop trying to prove your worth, you can finally begin to exist within it. And that really is the final truth here. You were never behind, you were just carrying a rule that had expired. Enough is not something you earn, it's something you allow.